Brown.
Here.
Costello.
Here.
Jamison.
Here.
Knutson.
Here.
Litz.
Here.
Staggers.
Present.
Anderson.
Here.
We have a quorum present tonight. Tonight, we'll start out, be led in the invocation by Pastor Kurt Flaw of the Abiding Savior Free Lutheran Church in Sioux Falls. After the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, I'd ask everyone to please rise.
I hope it's appropriate to share just a little bit before I would begin. I wanted to read a portion of Scripture. It says, "Where there is no guidance, the people fall, but in the abundance of counselors, there is victory." And I want to personally thank each of you men and women up here for your service. I consider you our counselors, and I'm grateful. Indeed, it's a privilege for me to come and to share tonight. And I want to encourage you that we have many within the churches of Sioux Falls, and our church in particular, that pray for you regularly, you and your families, and asking for your wisdom and godly wisdom as you make decisions in all that we do. Heavenly Father, we're thankful that we can come here tonight, and Lord, we do pray for these men and these women. They make big decisions, Lord, and we would ask for your guidance and your leading. I thank you for them. I pray for their families. God, I pray that you would bless their loved ones and all that they would do, all their work and all their endeavors. And Lord, as we would look to this agenda tonight, we would pray for guidance and for wisdom, that you would sustain and grant perseverance and grant grace. And Lord, I ask that in all that would be conducted here tonight, that your will be done, and Lord, that you would guide and that you would lead. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a proclamation tonight for Cigarette Litter Prevention Month, and it is Colin Punt and some members of the downtown. Here they are, Colin, come on up. The proclamation reads, whereas the control of litter and litter prevention is vitally important to the quality of life in Sioux Falls, whereas citizens, businesses, and the Sioux Falls City government have an interest in encouraging every citizen and business and its employees to protect and preserve the beauty and cleanliness of the community. Whereas Keep America Beautiful, Inc., a national nonprofit organization with a history of addressing litter for over 50 years by encouraging individual responsibility, community partnership, and advocating volunteerism, is addressing an emerging litter problem, cigarette litter. Whereas downtown Sioux Falls has launched a cigarette litter prevention program to reduce cigarette litter in Sioux Falls, whereas the Board of Directors of Downtown Sioux Falls, in cooperation with local businesses, community, and civic leaders, agree that cigarette litter has become a community-wide problem and have a strong interest in reducing it and eventually eliminating it. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim July 2008 as Cigarette Litter Prevention Month in Sioux Falls. Okay, we'll start out with the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Is there further motions? Any motions from the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of that approved the consent agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved 8-0. Now, is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved. Brown.
Brown moves. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Are there further motions?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to make a motion, please.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to move item number 43 on this evening's agenda up at the very beginning before item number 22.
Okay, the motion is to move item 43 to 22, and is there a second to that motion?
Second, Letson.
Let's second it. And that's a condemnation. Further comment, further motions? Not? All in favor of the motion to move item 43 above 22 will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
That motion prevails, 8-0. Other motions, other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the regular agenda as amended will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Regular agenda has been approved as amended, 8-0. Now, this is the time we set aside a period for 5 minutes for anyone wishing to address the council. We ask that you come forward and give your name and your address, and anyone wishing to address the council for a period of 5 minutes, come forward this time, please.
Scott Arisman, 806 South 10th Avenue. I guess I have two things, and they don't really have to do with each other. But the first thing is mostly questions I wanted to ask, because I think there's a lot of people in the community that have kind of been in the dark on something that was announced in the paper. On Saturday, June 28th, it says Sanford gives land to city. And if you go to the city website, on the 27th, there is a press release from the mayor's office that says Sioux Falls announces junior football complex. And it says here, the city of Sioux Falls has secured an offer. So I'm kind of curious, we haven't accepted the donation yet. The council needs to vote on that, is that correct?
Exactly right, Scott.
Okay.
Yep.
And a couple other questions I had about it is, I guess I don't understand why Sanford would buy land and then a year later would give it away and then build complexes on that land. And maybe you guys can clear this up for me, because maybe I don't know. But is Sanford just going to give the land that you guys are going to build the youth football fields on, or are they giving all of the land and then they're going to build complexes on it, and then we're going to have to maintain it and subsidize it when they have their names on the buildings and stuff?
I think is it 50 acres? I think it's 50 acres that they're donating to the city, Scott, for the football complex.
But that's just the football fields, or is,
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
and so
Football
if they
field.
build anything else on the land, they're going to still own that land and pay property taxes on it and subsidize the complexes they're building.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to defer that. It depends what they build. They're property tax because they're nonprofit.
They said they want to build an ice rink, they want to build a sports complex. I mean, it's in the paper.
If I might, just for
Yeah.
several of us had a meeting with some of the Sanford representatives, and I believe the intent is to donate the land for a junior football complex, and then at such time where a hockey or tennis or something else association steps forward and wants to move their particular agenda, that they are amicable to donating land for that as well. The remaining property on the buildings that they might build, they would own. The city would not be responsible for maintaining it. The only portion that I understand that the city would be responsible for maintaining is the portion that was donated to the city as part of the park system.
Right, where the
And
football
that,
fields
and
are
that,
built.
Scott, that includes the parking area in that donation too. So,
Yeah.
and
So
then
it's just
again,
the
it's
junior
probably
football.
pardon?
It's just the junior football
Right,
fields then.
exactly.
Okay. Because it's kind of murky from the, if you read the,
You
you
feel
read the
our
press
pain.
release and the, and the newspaper story, well, they both are basically the same thing. And it doesn't really go into detail. You know, it says a donation from Sanford, and then that they're giving us this land, and then all of a sudden it says that they're going to build a bunch of stuff on the land. I can't understand. I guess I didn't understand, why would they be donating land that they're going to build stuff on? That's my question, you know. And I know you said you're still working that out. Do you guys know when you're going to vote on that?
Let's see, I'm trying to think when it comes to the council. I'm not sure. Probably what, month that, it's probably a month that, Go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to add to what the mayor and Councilor Costello said is actually, I think the whole parcel, you know, is 200 and some acres, but the first piece, as Councilor Costello said, is what, has been given to us. It's one incredible donation. I mean, with our city having as many needs as it has, I think that we will, we clearly are in a position always of encouraging public-private partnerships. So I'm just speaking for myself, but I'd say it's one incredible gift, very much appreciated from my perspective.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I guess my contention is, what I was suspicious of is, for one, they bought the land a year ago and then gave it away, in 1 year. That seemed kind of strange to me, and maybe there's, who knows why that is. And the other part of it is, if Sanford's going to be putting their names on these buildings, that's marketing for them, and then the taxpayers are going to be subsidizing, basically marketing for Sanford. And, I think it's great if private industry wants to give money to the city or land or whatever. I just don't agree with taxpayers subsidizing advertising for a hospital. If they want to give us land, or if they want to, build complexes, that's great. But I kind of see this as a backdoor way of getting these facilities built, and then we're going to end up subsidizing them. And like I said, you haven't voted on this yet, and there's a lot of details that need to be worked out, obviously. But I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and Sanford clearly, plans, I think, in the future to build some buildings on their land.
Yeah.
Which would not be the land that they've donated to us. And I would assume it would be a win-win for Sanford and for the city of Sioux Falls, just like other partnerships throughout our city have been.
Yeah.
And then junior football has to raise, I think it's
Yeah. It said that
so
in the press
it's
release.
It's a three-way.
Yeah.
It's a three-way relationship.
And I'm sure the Hockey Association would chip in, too, if there was a
we
hockey
go down
rink.
that road, yeah.
Okay. And then the second thing I wanted to comment about, a few years ago, a mural was put up on the horse barn by a friend of mine, actually. Ian Mergia donated the mural to the horse barn. And at the time, the Visual Arts Commission existed, and any art that is placed, the murals, they must approve it. Well, at the time, the panel, it was not approved. It was approved by the Parks Board, and I might be wrong here, but I think Mike Cooper is the one who approved it, because he was part of Parks and Rec at the time. And and the reason I'm bringing this up is because the panels have been taken down. And I went by there the other day, and they said they're cleaning behind there because there's studs attached to the building. And at the time, they said that the Parks and Rec could approve, the Visual Arts Commission said that the Parks and Rec could approve this mural because it was a large painting and not a mural. But the definition of a mural is something that is either painted on a building or is attached. Now, when I went down there and saw the panels removed, and the panels were nailed to the studs, and the studs were bolted to the foundation of the building, and they were nailed into the soffit of the building. So it was clearly attached to the building. It was clearly a mural. Now, I would like to see the mural put back up. But before that happens, or if another mural goes up, I would like to see the Visual Arts Commission first approve it and then the council approve it. There's rules in this city for art, and everything must go through the Visual Arts Commission and approved by the council. And I think that if the mural either goes back up or another mural goes back up, this needs to be approved by the council, not just, whatever. We can put whatever we want to up. But that's all I had on that. I just didn't know if anyone was aware of the story behind that. It was
If Dave Fisher with Parks Department is right behind you, he could probably address that. Thank you, Dave.
Dave Fisher, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. The existing mural was removed so that maintenance work could be done to the building, and it's every intent that mural would be replaced. Also, through the agreement, the operating agreement that we have with the Sioux Empire Arts Council and city ordinance, both exempt the horse barn as one of the places that the placement of sculptures and art does not have to be approved through the normal process.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Scott, go.
When did that ordinance go into place? Because I know when the mural was first put up, that ordinance must not have been in place, because they called it a painting to get out of it. Not breaking any rules.
I guess I can't speak to exactly when the ordinance went into effect, but
Yeah, I kind of figured that when Sculpture Walk came along, they changed some stuff for the horse barn and for sculptures and art to be put up down there, but I think even if they are exempt, there should still be a process. I mean, the Visual Arts Commission is put into place for that reason. That's their job, to review all art, plaques, whatever, needs to be reviewed by them, approved by them, and then approved by the council. I don't understand, like, some art gets approved by them, but some doesn't. You got to do it all the way or not at all. So I just think that if the mural does go back up, it should be approved by the Visual Arts Commission.
I'll get the date of that for you, Scott.
Okay,
so
thank you.
have it. Thank you very much. Others that wish to address the council for 5 minutes, give your name and then your address, please.
My name's Russ Bartunik. I live at 904 South Foster. I'm a resident of Sioux Falls. I'm a property owner, and I'm also a landlord. I own some property in the 1300 block of West 13th Street. And on behalf of that neighborhood, I would like to put the council on notice that that neighborhood is under siege by one resident in that community. There's large crowds gathering all hours of the day and night at that residence. There's drinking parties in the daytime and the nighttime, whenever. There have been 2 hit-and-run accidents within the last 3 weeks there. There have been enormous police calls. The property is in disrepair, broken windows, broken screens, and a lot of the guests that are there are involved in are known gang members. Oh, in addition to that, there's also been a weapons charge from that particular address within the last 6 months. I personally, yesterday, because I have an interest in that street, walked the 1200 block and the 1300 block of West 13th Streets, and that's where the signatures that are in front of you see come from. The residents there wasn't one that I talked to. About 60% of the residents were home, but being Sunday, some were gone. Everybody that I contacted signed the petition. Those folks over there are living in fear. They're afraid to voice their concerns other than an anonymous call to the Sioux Falls Police Department, because you can walk down there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and there'll be a half a dozen young gentlemen from the age of probably 18 to 30 in their gang garb and their handkerchiefs, just intimidating the neighborhood. As I talked to some of the people that have lived there, I've owned property there for almost 20 years. One of the residents told me, I'm a single mom. I've lived here 9 years. This is the first time in my life that I haven't felt safe living in this neighborhood. I lock the doors as soon as I go in at night. Another resident told me, I have 4 young children that used to play in the front of our house. I don't let them out in the front of the house anymore since this group or person has moved in the neighborhood, attracting the group. Another elderly woman who lives next door to one of my properties says that I've known for 15 years won't open her door. She peeks through the curtains. If she sees it's me, she'll open the door and talk to me. These people are just being held at siege by what's going on in the neighborhood. And you know what makes this situation even more disturbing? Myself, you, me, and the other taxpayers in the city of Sioux Falls are paying the rent on this property. We're paying the rent for the hoodlums that are gathering at this property. Sioux Falls Housing Authority has a contract with the owners, and in talking to Shireen, she'll continue to pay the rent every day until those people are gone. Sioux Falls Housing Authority is not taking any steps in removing these people from the property. We have an out-of-town owner who has a housing contract, who has little financial incentive to clean it up. The root cause of this problem, as I see it, is not only the housing authority, but some of the things we as a community are doing as well. We're trying to clean up 10th and 11th Street. Those people, when you eliminate their housing, just migrate someplace else. And what they're doing now is migrating into the same areas, the fringe areas of 10th and 11th Street. West 13th is one. If you drive down around 14th and 15th Street now, we're turning those areas into slums. Most of the people that live in the 12 and 1300 block, and I'm sure Mr. Litz is familiar with that area, most of them are property owners. They own their own homes. There's a few rentals in it, and I own a couple in there, but most of those people own their own homes. They take pride in it. And I don't know what we're going to do. I think we need a plan on what we're going to do about the people that currently exist on 10th and 11th Street and how we're going to manage those undesirable people before we move ahead and do a whole lot of redevelopment there and spread them out into my neighborhood, your neighborhood, and everybody else's neighborhood in town. One interesting thing a couple weeks ago.
Russ, we're just at the time limit.
Okay, I'll finish up in about 30 seconds.
Thank you.
A couple of weeks ago, I contacted Sioux Falls Police Department because one car in particular came and left at regular intervals. They asked me to get the license plate number. Then, rather than me call it in, they sent an officer to my house. The officer arrived at my house, and I told him the reason that I'd called, and I could have called it in. And he says, "Is that license plate number 1AW311?" I didn't have to ask him the license plate number; he knew it. So the problem exists. The residents and the owners of this neighborhood, they don't want anything other than to get their neighborhood back. They want to feel safe in their neighborhood, and I don't know what the council can do to help us, but we do need help in that area, like yesterday. Thank you.
I'll talk to police tomorrow morning, and we'll look at the place very closely. So,
I take a personal interest in that neighborhood,
sure you do.
and I would like to speak to you this evening or possibly tomorrow morning if I could.
Okay, good
Thank
enough.
you.
others that wish to address the council at public input? Seeing no one is coming forward, we'll move into the agenda items. Item number 43.
Item 43 is a resolution authorizing the commencement of condemnation proceedings for acquisition of a certain parcel of land for public use.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. Tonight I have 3 slides for you to orientate you to this general area of where this easement is being requested. As you can see, that slide that's in front of you, the shaded area, is a part of the 23,000 expansion acres that has been under study and under construction and under development for a number of years now. As you see that black circle, that we'll kind of refine in on that area as we progress through the slides. Orientate yourself on that slide right at the black circle. That's 41st Street. And then immediately to the west is River Bluff Road. There's a shaded parcel that we'll be discussing tonight for this ordinance. And also to orientate yourself, the Big Sioux River is also showed there off to the east. Okay. Next slide. Okay, and the picture quality here isn't tremendous, but just to orientate, this is the subject property that the resolution speaks to. You'll see that there is one, as you look through this property, there's kind of a dark shaded area. That's a major drainage way that flows through this area that goes through this area east and west. That's where one of the options are to locate this sanitary sewer trunk line. Immediately to the north, in faint lines, that was a second option that we provided the landowner of where this easement could be located. However, there's certainly impacts the property more as opposed to the one that's to the south. As you know, in many cases, we try to locate our sanitary sewers near drainage ways because as they are gravity systems, the lower we get them, but also those areas are they're normally not developed just by their very nature because they are major drainage ways. So they really serve two purposes. where we can have a major drainage way but also locate our trunk sewers, and that's a very common practice that is maintained throughout the city. This project has been in our CIP and will come before us for construction in 2009. It's in your last plan. It's also in the proposed plan. We've worked with the property owner for a number of months, and we have not been able to reach an agreement on just compensation. The value that is in the resolution has been established by a third-party appraiser. And this resolution is required by statutory law 9-27-1 to start the formal proceedings to establish just compensation. One of the things that we will certainly do, if the property owner is willing, is to continue to meet even after this action to try to reach an agreement on the outstanding items. But essentially we believe that we've reached an impasse, and that to start a formal process, that this resolution's needed to be provided with 927-1. I can certainly answer any questions you might have.
Questions? Kermit, go ahead. Then.
Yes, Mark. Why is there an impasse? Is it over the money, or they simply do not want to have an easement through their property?
I believe it certainly is the dollar value is one of the key items.
Also, too, I have another question. Why don't we just build it under 41st Street?
The topography out there is some of the most rolling topography in the city, and there's approximately, on 41st Street down to that drainage way is in excess of 60 vertical feet. So for us to move that sewer in 41st Street, we'd be in excess of 60 feet deep, which is not a practice that we have.
Mark, is the west end of the south route, would that fall inside a waterway eventually? Is that where that is proposed at? Because it looks, just to the north of that, it looks a little bit darker on this map.
It is. We've located it next to a major drainage way, and as you drive that topography out there, you'll see that the terrain is such, it's very clear where the natural drainage is, and those are typically the best ways, most economical ways for a sanitary trunk line to develop and serve the adjacent properties.
Right, but you're just a little bit south of that. Is the elevation real close to the same as the darker area to the north? Looks like that's where the water flow has been going, possibly some reeds. Yes. You're just a little bit to the south of that. Is that the same elevation, or maybe a foot or two different?
It's certainly in relation to it, because as it comes down, there's more of a low point, and then it comes back up as you go north.
Very good. Thank you, Mark.
Other questions of Mark on item 43? Kermit?
Yeah, can you outline the Phelan property?
Yeah, it's property lines there, Dave. Thank you. Okay.
Greg?
Mark, what does this land look like after you've come through there and put a sewer in, and how do you restore it?
I think that's one of the key things with sanitary sewer is that they are an underground utility, and so as we come through, if there is a fence, we'll certainly rebuild the fence. We'll reestablish the turf because we'll salvage the topsoil, replace the topsoil. If there's a tree that is a part of the easement that's key to the property, in many ways we'll reestablish trees. And so in many ways we work with property owners all across the city to make sure that they believe that they're whole when we're through.
Go ahead.
Yeah, on this map that I have, Mark, am I correct in that it's going to be 30 feet wide, the easement? Is that right?
I have to zoom in on that. It is a 30-foot permanent easement. One of the keys is that in typical sewer construction is that there's an element that's permanent and then there's an element that is temporary for construction purposes only. And the fact that we've tried to reach an agreement on that there's two probable routes here, that we did not include the temporary easement area, and that it's certainly possible that we would be back with a separate resolution once the final route's established with the property owner to add on that additional temporary easement. And so temporary easements typically exist for the duration of the construction and then the warranty period. So if there's an occurrence where a contractor needs to come back in and correct a warranty item, the easement's still in place. However, after that warranty period's expired and the city accepts the sewer, that easement goes away and we go back to just the permanent utility easement, which allows us to have access to make sure we can maintain the sewer for the life of the sewer.
And then also, if I could ask another question here about this 30-foot easement. Am I correct here that we want to condemn 17,784 square feet of land? Is that right?
Yes, it's just over 0.4 acres.
0.4 acres?
It's just over 0.4 acres.
Mark, you had indicated that you think the primary holdup is money. I presume, because you're here today talking about it, that we're not anywhere close. Has the landowner had an appraisal done? Do they have a valuation in mind?
I'm not aware if they've had a licensed appraisal done. We're just, they've rejected our offer.
Have they had a counteroffer, or have they indicated what they want? Or
You know, there's been some numbers shared, but I think part of that due process will come out as land values are looked at through this.
And then, once an easement is granted, landowner can't build on that, over top of that easement, I presume?
That's correct. With a structure.
Further questions? Others that wish to go, Dee, go ahead.
Mark, did you, I think you indicated earlier that it is still possible for the landowner to negotiate with the city yet even after tonight's proceedings?
That's our hope, but we know that if they're willing to continue to sit down and meet, we're more than willing. But if that's not the case, just with the time frame of going through a formalized due process, that's essentially why we want to start tonight. But we are certainly open and willing to continue to negotiate. We want to certainly make this a positive step for them, but also for this Basin 20, which is serves a number of acres.
Other questions? Kenny?
Is the property owner or a representative here tonight?
We'll get to them in a minute after we finish with Mark. Other questions of Mark? Others that wish to address the go ahead, Kermit.
Yeah, Mark, what's the going rate for an acre of land out there? Do you have any idea?
Well, we've got dollars in the appraisal that we could certainly provide to you.
Yeah, because we're offering them, what, $11,000 or so?
$11,000, yeah.
And if we have...
$11,300, excuse me.
Yeah. And if we have, I don't know if the acre out there is 30,000 or 35,000 or...
It was appraised greater than that.
The acreage?
Mm-hmm.
So then, 0.4 acres, this is a really low-ball amount?
No, you're certainly welcome to see the appraisal. I think it's on file at the clerk's office.
I'm going to interject here. I'm not an expert on appraisal by any stretch of the imagination, but this is an easement. It's not fee simple title that
Right.
the city is obtaining
yes.
through the condemnation process. And I'm sure that enters in significantly with the
But
appraisal.
also, at the same time, it limits, to some extent, what they can do with that property. And it is also going, through, right across their property there.
I would
So
think
be-
that
right.
would have entered into the appraisal's determination, but there is a report, I believe, on the appraisal.
Yeah, the report on file.
I was just going to add that the appraisal should be online as well as part of the attached legislation. So it's available at our office, but also it's available online for those watching.
Excellent.
Dee?
Director Cotter, I understood you, did I understand you correctly? I mean, the city did not come up with a number. I mean, this was very much provided to us by a very experienced appraiser, a third-party appraiser. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they are obviously licensed, ethical appraisers that provide these across our city. And so they certainly know the area. They have a very good basis of what the land values and easement values are. And so it provides a good read to look through the appraisal.
Other questions, Pat?
Mark, how far is this away from the school park sites that we just purchased from Brandon?
Well, we can probably go back to slide 1. One of the I know we've got a particular site on 49th. Just a minute, I want to check with Jeff Schmidt. The one that we're certainly aware of is the one up north near 10th Street. There is another one down in this area with relation to 41st Street or 49th Street area that is a probable site, but Jeff and his team are working very hard to try to establish where that land would be at. There.
We appropriated money for that purchase, didn't we? Didn't we do that a while back in supplemental appropriation?
Jeff, you want to answer the question?
Yes, sir. Jeffrey Schmidt, representing the planning staff. We did for having to buy a second site around the 41st Street and 6 Mile location in conjunction with the first site at 10th Street. We're in negotiations with the property owner at 6 Mile and 41st Street, but it's not necessarily at that point right now to make an announcement that it's at that intersection.
Further questions of Mark? Others that wish to address the council, we ask you to come forward, give your name and address. Others that wish to address the council on item number 43.
I'm Al Weiderman from North Dakota Avenue. I just have the question for him. Is he aware of the legal step backs and how deep is that storm sewer going to be? I have a property that has an easement by the city on it. I cannot build a thing on it.
Do you want to answer that, Mark, how deep it is? Is that the questions?
Yeah, please, okay. Because there's step backs, and the 17, or in this case, 15-foot does not.
Mr. Wood, would you just give us your name and address again?
I'm sorry. I guess I said it as I was coming up. I.L. Weiderman on North Dakota Avenue.
Do you need the address? Okay, thank you. Okay, Mark, can you answer the question? Thank you very much.
Mark Cotter again with the Office of Public Works. One of the things I tried to clarify with Councilor Costello is that you cannot build a structure on those properties. But again, in typically subdivision of land, if this would go that route, these first major drainage ways are identified to convey the drainage that comes down them. And then also there are certainly crossings that are planned that go across them. If the drainage way is of such that it would still allow for a parking lot in the development. Those are some of the items that are always reviewed and studied from their consulting staff if and when this is subdivided for land.
Thank you. Others who wish to address the council on item number 43. Come up, please, again.
I'm sorry, but that does not address my my question was, if you have an 18-foot deep punch in the ground, for every so many feet down, you have to go both directions for a safety feature. You can't just punch it 18 foot.
I think you said it was 30 feet, is that right?
What's the depth of it?
15. Go ahead.
As we develop the sewer throughout, it varies in depth, and so I could certainly provide what the specifics are in depth from one end of the property to the other with relationship to the existing ground. Okay.
Thank you. Others that wish to address the council on item number 43? Not? Let me just...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kirby.
Yeah, I guess we should have another point of view presented here by those people that are affected by...
nobody comes forward. I mean, I can't...
I think they're going to come, yes.
Good evening, everyone. This all started...
Your name and address, please.
Bob Phelan, 9120 East 41st Street. This all started when the HDR engineer first came on our property and wanted to have a look around. They had called us previously, and we said, sure, come on out and have a look around. And when he first came onto the property, one of the very first things he said is, this one's going to be trouble.
Say what?
This one's going to be trouble. What you're seeing in this photograph is not representative of this property in any way. This property has been compared to Newton Hills. It's been compared to Custer State Park. What this bogus appraisal is calling deciduous trees that are indigenous to the area that have outlived their usefulness. We're talking 40-foot linden trees. We're talking 45-foot oak trees. We're talking just a beautiful stand of trees. What I'm here to do tonight is to, and unfortunately I found out about this through a reporter calling me. That's the only way I knew that this was even taking place. I had Argus Leader reporter call me and let me know, and he wanted to know why there was a condemnation hearing on the agenda. Okay, well, I kind of had a pretty good idea of where this is headed because I've sent a ton of information to the city, and obviously that, from what I'm hearing here tonight, you folks are getting a very small piece of the pie. You're not seeing all the information that was sent. You're seeing a very one-sided view of what's taking place. And I want you to just make sure that before you vote on this, yes or no, that you're clear in your minds that you've got all the information, because there is a lot more to look at. We're not talking about a strip of dirt. We're talking about something much, much more important than that. And this is our home. This is our front yard we're dealing with. These trees have been there for 80, 90 years, and they are going to wipe them out. And not only will the easement prevent us from ever doing anything permanent, the sewer easement also prevents us from planting deep-rooting plants, which means that this property will never come back to where it is today. And I just want all the members on the council to, before you vote on this resolution, just bear that in mind, because there's information that you don't have.
Questions? Pat?
Are you going to be providing us with some information then? in the
I
future?
certainly can. There's a lot of information to go through. All the information has been sent to the city. Larry Fassett and others at the city have got all the documentation that I've sent. A view of the site, whatever it takes. We're not talking about some piece of dirt. There's also, you're looking at a 4-year-old aerial photograph there. There's also now there's a half, they got a little circle called out where it says, I believe it says something about assumed pond. Well, there's a half-acre pond on that property now. And that pond was applied for through the state, and it was installed, by the proper channels. And there's now a half-acre pond that is probably about within 10 feet of that easement. So that's going to be an issue in itself.
Joe?
Mr. Phelan, I guess my other question, in addition to what you already suggested, was the narrative that we haven't seen. Does that narrative give us any information about another independent survey on what you believe the value of that property is?
I've been researching for 2.5 years on my own, ever since this first started, ever since the East Side Sanitary Sewer System. I got the letter, and basically they showed me a map showing that this was coming right through my property. Now, as far as a third party, something like that, no. But I have researched all the way through. And it's all there's a spreadsheet that has every single line item documented, and that's in the city's possession. But it's not being presented to you.
Right. Do you believe there is a third party that can give you an estimated value on what that property is worth?
There's probably all kinds of third parties out there that'll give me an estimate, you know. But it's going to boil, you know, we all know where this is going to end up.
I'm not sure that that's correct.
If you vote on this resolution, if you vote yes on this resolution, it goes to circuit court. We go to just compensation. It goes before a jury. The jury's going to make an award. You're going to appeal, blah, 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 and we go on and on and on. There's also a piece of this puzzle called House Bill 1080. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. It's a bill that was co-sponsored by Stephanie Herseth, and it is designed to prevent the taking through eminent domain of public land or of private lands under certain conditions. The way that act is written is very kind of gray, and one of the items in it is you cannot take eminent, or you cannot use eminent domain to take property for express purpose of tax base increase. Well, what do you call a 23,000 acre addition to the city? What do you call 23,000 acres worth of building permit fees? Those are tax base increases. Now, will it be in a court, in the Supreme Court, if it goes that far? Would that really be, you know, figured that way by the justices? Who knows? The law has not been tested yet. So,
great. I just have one comment, Bob, and I don't want to make you mad, but to assume what we're going to do is using the normal assumption of that definition. The other thing is that I don't believe at this point that I have all the information that would be able to vote on this, and I'm frankly to a point where I'd like to see this deferred till I get all that information.
That's why.
So I don't believe we're going to vote. I hope we don't vote on this tonight, because I think we have to have both sides of the information. But I also feel like there's got to be somebody that you feel like you can work with to come up with an appraisal. And I think that would be important for both sides.
I'll see what I can do.
One thing I would like to also add at this point is, if the council did go ahead and vote, and I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, I don't know, but if they did vote, they're not establishing the price for the property. They're not agreeing that the appraisal that is attached to the resolution is what the Phelan's, that's the established price for the Phelan's for the easement. As Mark said earlier, that's still subject to negotiation even after any vote tonight. It's a resolution of necessity, and I think Mark was trying to get at the fact that this easement located where it is according to Public Works the necessary path for it. And if I'm incorrect on that, Mark, certainly. But this does not establish the price for the easement.
That's what I was looking for, was a point of order. In essence, the city's at an impasse with the landowner, right? Now the next step is for us to just take it or to claim it, and then it goes to the court to really decide what the value is, right? I mean,
Right, if it goes that far, a jury would decide just compensation.
We can't negotiate with Bob.
But you can still negotiate as you move forward to that state. But go ahead.
But we've got to take the next step because the city's at an impasse, right? Is that really?
To put this all in perspective, you know, just kind of a side note, the median that's being put in on East 26th Street probably has cost the city more than what this easement would if it was just settled.
Would you be willing to share what the taxable value of your property is?
The taxable value?
Yeah, for property tax base.
I don't know off the top of my
idea?
head, no.
Kermit?
Yeah, on the map, can you show us where your house is?
Yeah, the house is clear up at the very top.
Okay.
You see, yeah, right there.
Okay.
That's where the actual house is.
And also, too, I just want to clarify, the reason you're disagreeing with the city is because of cost, or you just flat out do not want this to go through your property?
No, I've said in my documentation that I sent to the city that I do not want to stand in the way of this sewer being put in. I expect fair and just compensation for what they are going to do to this land. They're going to rape a 100-foot wide strip of this land completely out, and it'll never come back. And that's forever.
And the last question I have here is, okay, when did you actually find out that this exactly when this condemnation was going to be brought before the city council?
The reporter called us, I believe it was Friday. Or there was a message on our answer machine Thursday night, or the reporter was working on the story that I guess came out Saturday's paper.
And you had no idea
I had no
that
idea
this
that
was
this
going to come
resolution
before
was
the
on-
city council tonight?
No.
Go ahead, Vernon.
Bob, just so you know, we as counselors didn't know about it either until Thursday night, probably when we got the notice. So it's not like the council has known for a long time that this was coming. And that's why I also agree with Councilor Benninga. I think that we need all the facts before we vote tonight, and I'm not comfortable moving this forward this evening.
I don't think you folks are getting all the information that
Pat's
you
got a
need.
question.
I'm just curious, Director Cowder kind of danced around it. What do you think is the appropriate value for the taking, for the easement?
Pardon me?
What do you think is the appropriate value for the easement?
It's what is on my spreadsheet that is in
I don't have that in front of me. Can you tell me what
the
it is?
monetary value is $326,000, but there
That's-
are also some stipulations for what gets destroyed and how it gets replaced. But the cash value is $326,000. It's all spelled out in the spreadsheet, what and why.
Further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Others who wish to address the council on item number 43. Do you want to talk, Mark?
Just a couple of redirect points, Mayor and City Council. As I've said, we're certainly still willing to sit down with Mr. Phelan and try to reach an agreement. One of the things we've found, as you've also seen on the appraisal, is that we are vastly different in the two amounts. And so when it gets to this point, which we, as you know, don't get to this point very often in the city of Sioux Falls, is that we believe that we are far enough apart that we believe that we have to let due process go forward now, review both sides, and then allow a jury to actually make the determination. And so again, tonight's action only allows us to start that due process. It doesn't identify the number, doesn't solidify that. It just allows us to start the formal process to determine just compensation. With respect to the aerial photograph, as you may know, we reflew the city this year. It has been 4 years, so we are also looking forward to new aerial maps late this fall that we'll be able to be showing you with the changes that have been made. And so the one thing I would ask is, you do have two options. Mayor and City Council, if you would like more information, we can certainly come back, but one of the things I'd like you to see is two things. We are vastly apart. We've got a third-party appraisal that has identified it, and also what's common through this drainage basin for the easement, not fee title. And secondly, just to start the due process takes time. We also have a sewer project that is in 2009 that we will fund with water reclamation, that as we move from the river all the way through to that area that is served by Basin 20, that there's a substantial amount of area that this is an integral part to that sewer. And so certainly from our standpoint, know that we believe that we are far enough apart that we've got to let now a jury decide what just compensation is. And having these discussions, even though they're important, I do think that we are going to end up in front of a jury.
Kermit, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. If you could just clarify something to me about the sewer in that area. Is that sewer, is that headed to our new treatment plant, or is that just going out there to open that area up? for development?
These are, let me grab a point. This is Basin 20, which I'll let you point. Basin 20 is the light green area. Let me try to, that area right there. That's Basin 20. One of the projects that you guys are well aware of is that 41st Street is being developed this year between Highway 11 and 6 Mile Road. If you follow that sewer over by the river, which is that dark purple, the purple is the amount of the east side sewer that's been installed and is operational. This light green is a planned trunk main, which we have in our plan to build in 2009. And so if you follow off right there, off the purple line, and then head due west, that is the sanitary sewer trunk line that will make its way all the way to 6 Mile Road and then even extend through developments up to 41st Street. And that is also that segment of 41st Street that we're improving this year. Expect to bid in July to expand that and also make sure that those lands start to be subdivided. So anyway, if that gives you a sense of where that's at, it does all gravity flow from the west to the east and then down to the new lift station that we opened last year.
Okay, if I could just ask a few more questions. I'm so concerned about condemning private property. And, I think we should do everything we can to avoid that. But taking a look at the route you have there, Mark, is there any way to just kind of bypass this property where the owner wants $326,000 and just maybe head further south or, whatever, so we don't have to condemn this property and we don't have to go to court and do all this kind of stuff?
Well, certainly understand from our standpoint, condemnation is always our last resort. We do sit down and work out a number of these items with landowners to make sure that that the impacts are reduced as much as possible. One of the things you'll see as you drive this area, the topography really dictates where this sanitary sewer would best and most efficiently be placed. And so it's, without a detailed contour map, that would be certainly much more easy to see. But again, I can assure you, one of the key things, though, as we look at statutory law, is that it does take 2/3 vote to proceed forward with this resolution. So it's important tonight, with an action from our standpoint, to get acceptance of that level to make sure that we're in line with statutory law, and certainly understand we'll certainly agree to continue to meet, but we've hired an appraisal and to establish that value, and that value has been rejected.
And also, if I could just ask about him being notified about tonight. What happened there? Do you have any idea or not?
There's a long history with this, the development of the sewer, and this is, from our standpoint, a stage in the process. Again, it doesn't set the price of what the land is going to be established at, but that's the number that our third-party independent appraisal is established. And so it, again, just starts the process for due process.
In other words, part of due process is notifying the party that a condemnation proceeding is taking place tonight. He says he was not notified. Do you know what happened?
I don't. I've certainly, obviously, every step of the way we want people to be informed, and if, I can certainly check into that.
Okay, if you would.
Yeah.
Sure. Mark, you guys have been working on this for a long time, and to be blunt, I didn't read the Argus, and I just read my emails last night because I was on vacation last week. I don't think it's fair to me or maybe to the other counselors to make a decision on this tonight, and I'd like to defer this for 2 weeks just so I have both sides of the story. I think it's the only way to make a decision, and I'm going to make that motion.
I'll second it.
May I make a substitute motion? I would like to make a motion to defer this for 1 week instead of 2 weeks, and I guess the reason I'm making that is negotiations have gone on for, over half a year on this. We are vastly apart as far as numbers are concerned, and I have full confidence in the court system and the appeal process as far as that the property owner will, in the end, receive just compensation. So that's my substitute motion.
Substitute motion, is there a second substitute motion? Not, that fails for lack of a second, so we're back to the original motion to defer this for 2 weeks.
I too heard about this in the Argus, and I didn't buy it either because I got to stop at the newsstand to get it. But it's very irritating to me to get to this stage of the game, find all of this information, and not have it in front of me. I like to muse these things over. I like to think about them. I'm gonna agree with Gerald here tonight and give Mr. Phelan 2 weeks to provide us with the information he claims he has, and also to get an independent, credible, third-party appraisal of this property. And then from Public Works, I would also like to get a topographical or an elevation map of this property so I can kind of get a feel of what's going on. I might have to drive out there too. I agree with Mr. Benninga that we kind of this thing got blotched somewhere along the line. I'm very embarrassed about it. I'm very uncomfortable about it, and I'm going to be voting to defer this for 2 weeks.
Further question, got a motion to defer? Pat?
I just have a question for the city attorney regarding the process. It seems to me in the past, when we've had a condemnation deal, there's some sort of state law or statutory authority that if the jury ultimately finds that our appraisal is below a certain threshold, or our offer, I guess, is below a certain threshold is ultimately determined, we can be responsible for triple damages, or I don't know what, but it seems like there's some penalty phase in there. Can you explain that?
Well, I might have to defer to Mr. Gregerson. Pat, I did look at the statutes today. I believe I did see one on what you're talking about. If the jury returns a verdict lower than the offer made, Dick, then we could be responsible for attorney's fees. Is that correct? And if I can also provide Councilor Costello that information tomorrow, too.
Dick Gregerson is my name. I'm a lawyer here in Sioux Falls, and I've been retained by the city to represent the city in this condemnation case. The law is if you get a 20% lift over the last offer, and in this case, all the landowner would have to get is about $2,000 more, then city is responsible for the attorney's fees and also for up to 2 appraisers. And normally, it's a pretty good incentive for the landowner to go to trial. But I'd like to also make a comment. I don't think there's any way that this, in all due respect, you are not going to be able to make a determination whether you should go forward or not. I've tried a lot of condemnation cases. I used to be assistant city attorney for the urban renewal. We never ran into any problems with resolutions because that belongs in the court. And what we're trying to do here is get this into the court system. Because if you come back in 2 weeks, a jury is going to take days to determine what the value is, and you're not equipped to do it. So I think you're just wasting time, in my humble opinion, of going into this subject. You ought to let it go into the court system. The landowner, too, can challenge the taking. He can come into court. All he has to do is give notice within 30 days of the service papers. He can challenge the taking. He can challenge the route that it's going, and we can have experts that will testify, and that's a question of law. The judge will decide it, an independent judge. Then if the city prevails on that point, then we'll go to trial, and the jury, 12 people, 10 out of 12, will determine what the value is. There can also be severance damages. There can be damages in addition to the property just being taken. There can also be severance damages, or the damage is a reduction in value to the balance of the property. So this matter, taking private property is very important, and it should be governed by laws. Like, for instance, Pat, you raised a question about what is the taxable value. That is not admissible and has no bearing in a condemnation case. You cannot take advantage of the land, or let's assume he said low taxes. But that's irrelevant. It's what the property is worth today. And so if it gets into the court system too, the landowner is protected. So I would urge you to pass this resolution and let us go into court and let the landowner have his day in court.
We'll start here, we'll work our way down.
Mr. Gregerson, I understand your professional opinion, and I certainly know that you're a respected attorney here in town, but I have to tell you, I got a feeling we've been at this for quite a while, and it's my personal opinion that he deserves his chance to give us all the information that he's prepared, as well as our staff has done. And regardless of where this goes, I think 2 weeks in a process that we've been at for a long period of time, regardless of your experience with these resolutions, is unfair to the property owner. So I'm going to continue to support this, and I hope you understand that.
I respect your opinion.
I agree. We respect what you're saying, Mr. Gregerson, but it's frankly embarrassing that the council didn't know about this, and our apologies to the Phalens. We understand this process, but we want to make sure that you're treated with respect throughout this process as well.
Mr. Gregerson? If we were to take your advice and just let this go through and have it go to the court system, why is a resolution of condemnation required? Why is it even coming to us if it should go to the courts directly?
Well, the best answer, Mr. Costello, is the statute requires it. You have to make the determination whether you can go ahead with the condemnation.
So I got to believe that the framers of the statute envisioned that city councils weigh in on the valuation and what the offer should be. Well,
In my humble opinion, no. Because there's no way, unless you want to sit here in 2 weeks and listen to appraisers from both sides, because I can tell you they're going to be miles apart. Unless you're willing to do that, you can't make an informed decision. I guess my point is, what are you going to gain by it? You're just going to waste your time, I think. And I think the landowner is better protected getting into the court system.
And also, I'd like to just convey that I certainly respect your legal authority and expertise in the area, but regarding the taxable value of the property, isn't there a state law that says that the taxable value should be within 90% of the true value of the property?
Yeah, but you see, the appraisal done for real estate purposes is different than for condemnation.
No, I understand that, but I mean, my question was merely to try to establish what the value of the entire property was. And wouldn't the taxable value get us to within at least 90% of the real value?
Yeah, I don't know but my point is, you cannot put into evidence whatever the property's been appraised at for tax purposes. It's irrelevant. The only time it goes into evidence is if you have the taxing authority that's been taxing property, say, for $2,000, but then they come into court and say it's only worth $1,000 for condemnation. Then it's admissible as an impeachment against the governing authority.
My point was, I'm just trying to figure out what the value of the property is and some sort of third-party number, whether it's taxable value or something else.
Well, there's a common phrase the lawyers involved in this area say that highest and best use for property, which you have to establish, the highest and best use for property is condemnation, because you're going to get more there than on the market.
I just have a feasibility question for Councilor Litz regarding the property owners getting an appraisal. I'm not sure that they could go out and get a third-party appraisal in 2 weeks' time. Does anybody have any experience in that?
I guess I don't know the answer to that, but if I was Mr. Phelan, I'd sure try.
Just a question, if the landowner comes back with an appraisal that says it's worth $300,000, what is our options then? I mean, are we able to say, Mark, we should pay this guy a little more, or are our hands tied?
I don't know, Mark or Dick, you want to answer the question?
Well, and I'll just say once again, it's not your decision to decide just compensation in the resolution. So even if Mr. Phelan comes back with $500,000, that's not the issue. The issue is it necessary to go forward with the process to condemn the property for an easement?
That's how I understand it. So I guess waiting 2 weeks to get what we know is going to come, a higher appraisal, I don't know where we're going. I think we should just maybe get this off the plate and move on.
If I can respond, and Greg, I understand your concern, and literally, I think we all know that the value of the property is the issue. The issue is I don't believe, again, in this process, that we've had enough time just to at least listen to the admissible pieces of evidence that the Phelan family has produced over the last umpteen weeks, and we've had 4 days or less to look at this, and we're asked to make a decision. I believe strongly that we owe it to both sides to read the information and come back to this and ask intelligent questions in 2 weeks.
I know I'm new at this, I'm just trying to learn, but let's just say that 2 weeks come by and we see the appraisal for 300, and we go, oh my gosh, there's a huge difference here, what should we do? We decide we don't want to condemn this property, now what?
Dick, you want to answer that?
You guys, essentially, the city's got to find another route. Is that right?
Mark or Dick?
I think that's one of the key steps that Dick Gregerson spelled out, is that first you step through the process of, is this the best, most efficient route for this trunk sewer to develop Basin 20? And then if that is held up, then you move into what does the license appraisal reports state? Was it fair? Was the comparables established that were fair? And so again, we certainly want you to understand that there is a number of property transactions that take place as we develop our sewers, storm sewers, roads, large water mains, and when we feel like it's gone beyond where we believe we're at an impasse, that's where it jumps really to the court system. And so, but if you so choose to have us come back in 2 weeks, we'll be prepared.
Further questions, Dean?
I'd just like to say I'm very respectful always of how the other counselors feel on every topic, including the most controversial ones. I guess, as your chairperson, I probably, maybe I should have asked some more questions at the leadership meeting last week, or briefing last week on this topic. But actually the reason I did not is condemnation proceedings happen very, very rarely. I'm not sure that ever happened before while I've been on city council. I knew that negotiations had been going on for over half a year with our very capable staff, Public Works Department and City Attorney's Office, and I just do have so much confidence in the court system that this is clearly a next step as opposed to us deciding numbers. And so I will be voting against the deferral.
Further comments? We've got a motion to defer item 43 until July 21st. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion to defer, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Costello?
Yes.
Councilmember Jamison?
No.
Councilmember Knutson?
No.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Councilmember Staggers?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. We have 6 yes, 2 noes. Item 43 has been deferred till July 21st. Let's go back here to
22.
item 22.
Item 22 is the second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations.
Gene Roanhorse, Director of Finance. This is a supplemental appropriation to clean up some activities. $150,000 for the Parks and Recreation Department, $70,000 of which is coming from Sioux Falls People for Youth, and then $80,000 of which is coming from the school district. We then have $1.6 million, which is money that's been returned from the state to work on the levees this year, so that we were appropriating money to at least do $1.6 million worth of work on the levees this year. And then Planning and Building Services has a donation for $10,000 from the City Foundation, and another $50,000 donation coming from the City Foundation and City Bank South Dakota combined. We do have representatives from each of the departments if you have questions, specific questions on these items.
Questions of Gene? Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question for Mike about the 50,000 and 10,000.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services.
Can you say something about this community scholar intern program, and also the 50,000 for the urban revitalization program? What are we going to use that for?
Yep. As you know, the Pettigrew Heights neighborhood has been a project that we've been working on for 2 years. And one of the partners that we've been working with for quite some time is City. And through the partnership of discussions about the need for further activities within the Pettigrew Heights neighborhood, we were asked to apply for 2 grants. The first one that we've received, the $10,000, is going to be used for a summer internship, and that intern will be devoting her time on neighborhood conservation issues, working with the neighborhood, working with task force on implementing ideas within the Pettigrew Heights and other neighborhood areas. The $50,000 is a grant that will be used towards neighborhood revitalization. Specifically, it's going to be used for appraisals of the land that we potentially might want to buy, and could also be used for covering the cost of interest of the money that we potentially would draw down with the Citibank line of credit.
If I could just ask one more quick question. I understand we had an option to exercise before July 1st of buying some land in the Pettigrew Heights area. Did we exercise that option?
We are going to extend that because we're still negotiating on the proposal that we received.
And how much longer are we going to continue negotiating?
I'm hoping that yet this month or early August we'll be able to come back to the council with a specific explanation of what our recommendation would be for a redevelopment site.
Okay. So we haven't paid any money then to any, we've never paid.
We have
any,
not purchased any land.
Yeah, we haven't purchased any
Yes.
at all.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
We would need.
Further questions on item 22? Others that wish to address, okay.
For Director Cotter, the 1.6 for the flood control, could you explain where that money came from? Gene indicated it was a return of money from the state. Where is it?
Certainly. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. Those dollars came from the Water and Natural Resources Group. One of the commitments that they made back in 1992 was that they would put forth $4.55 million to this project, and so when we turn in qualifying expenses, they reimburse us at 50 cents on the dollar. And so we've done a number of items and submitted those last year. The spring of this year, we received that check. It was a reimbursement check. This just allows us authorization on those state funds.
And then how much do we have in the flood control fund?
If you'll allow me to be general, about $980,000 currently.
And so we would have almost $2.6 million after this.
That's correct.
Okay.
Further questions? Others that wish to address the council on item number 22? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments on the motion been moved and seconded. Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 22, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 22 has been approved. Item 23.
Item 23 is an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by changing the definition of living ground cover.
Good evening, Jeffrey Schmidt, representing Planning and Building Services. Staff would request a deferral on this item until July 21st. We want to spend some more time looking at the text changes.
Motion is defer item 23 until July 21st.
I so move.
Knutson
Knutson.
moved. Is there a second?
Brown.
Brown seconded. Further comments on motion to defer? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to defer till July 21st, we'll vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 23 has been approved 8-0. Item 24.
Item 24 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rescinding the 1998 subdivision regulations of the City of Sioux Falls, Ordinance 1898, and adopting the 2008 revised subdivision regulations of the City of Sioux Falls.
Our office has three major tools. We have the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan, we have the zoning ordinance, and we have the subdivision ordinance. The subdivision ordinance was last amended back in 1998. We've revised it, made some small changes back in 2002, but really we haven't significantly changed it since 1998. So it's been 10 years since we've updated this. Since February of 2006, every 2 weeks we've been bringing this ordinance amendment to the Infrastructure Review Advisory Board. So for 2.5 years, we've been bringing this forward to an advisory board. In June of 2008, they made a unanimous motion to approve this and bring this forward to Planning Commission. It went in the June meeting to Planning Commission, and it's coming forward to you to approve at this point. We've made some significant changes to hopefully address a lot of the issues and concerns that the development community has had over time. Some of those that I'd like to highlight for you is we've put specific time frames in the process where in the past they were open-ended. If they gave us a document, we had time to review it and then bring it forward the process. Now in the ordinance it says staff has 15 days to get these things completed and processed through. The preliminary plans, the documents that you see, and you'll see a preliminary plan tonight. When those documents would come before us and we had to review them and get them before you, there wasn't necessarily a clear checklist on what needed to be checked and reviewed before getting it to Planning Commission and City Council. Now there's a table that sets up that says in 10 days we will review it for these elements, and then if there's these elements, it will be able to go through to City Council for review, and it will be reviewed against these criteria. So there's a clear check and balance. Other things that the development community has asked for is currently in existing ordinance, you cannot transfer ground without going through the 4-step process. So if they're wanting to close on title property, they're unable to do that. So we've been holding plats and not allowing people to transfer property because it's illegal by the subdivision ordinance. This new ordinance allows them to transfer ground following a plat exemption process. Also, it's very common for people in today's marketplace to want to do commercial office buildings by condominiums, have common ownership in land. That's not allowed per our subdivision ordinance. This new ordinance also allows people to do condominiums and have common ownership in their property. So back approximately about a month ago, we posted all of these things to our city's website. We sent out emails to the development community, to all the stakeholders out there. We asked them to please review everything and the minutes from the last 2.5 years of IRAB, to contact us with questions and concerns, to please come to Planning Commission, come to City Council, ask questions and concerns. And at this point, I would ask that you please approve the subdivision ordinance.
Questions of Jeff on item number 24. Kermit.
Yeah, Jeff, I've been told that the current ordinance that we have on subdivisions is broken, and that the new ordinance that we're going to be voting on tonight is also broken too, but still better than what we have on the books now. What area do we have to really focus on to make this proposed ordinance even better?
I would have to talk to someone that says it's broken.
Talking to that person.
Okay, I don't know what's broken with it, so I don't know what's broken.
Yeah, because I've been told that, I mean, this is better, don't get me wrong, and I'm going to vote for this.
Sure.
But that there are still some really broken things with this ordinance, and that's what I was trying to find out.
Further?
I guess
Go ahead, Bob.
that's where I asked the community to tell them, and I didn't hear comments.
Go ahead, Bob.
In response to Dr. Staggers, there has been 2.5 years of developers feeding into this, and it might not be a perfect document, but I believe that if we do adopt it, that planning, if something occurs to us that it's not working very well, I think they'd be amenable to going back and changing or fixing whatever might be perceived as being wrong.
Further questions of Jeff on item number 24? Pat?
I'm just curious if there's anybody here from the IRAB board that might want to speak towards the ordinance.
I see no one come forward. So. Name and address, please.
Mark Valinga, Graham Organization, 5000 South Minnesota Avenue. I am on the IRAB board, and there's been quite an effort between not only Public Works and City Engineering, but engineers in the City of Sioux Falls and the development community to update and streamline this process in an effort to bring down some costs for the development community before approvals are obtained, so that they're not spending a lot of engineering dollars before they know whether or not a project's been approved. And, it's been a long and arduous effort, and it's hard to anticipate what the trends and future subdivision residential living requirements are going to be, in the future, as the economy changes, as living conditions change for, residents of Sioux Falls.
Questions, Kermit?
Yeah, I guess the impression I have of the proposed ordinance that I'm going to be voting for is that there is greater flexibility, and is there a little bit less regulation? Is that fair to characterize this new
Yeah,
ordinance?
I think it is, especially in the concept review and preliminary plan process. There are not some, stringent costs that developers will have to pay up front before they know whether or not, a plan and zoning's been approved.
Further questions? Not others who wish to address council item 24? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello, second. Further comments on the motion to approve item 24? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present in the vote, item 24 has been approved 8-0. Item 25.
Item 25 is the second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a major amendment, petition number 2008-0502, to Chapter 15.45.070 Plan Development Districts at Meadows on the River Plan Development District, amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This major amendment to the Planned Development District in Meadows on the River is to add a couple of land uses out there on this sub-area parcel, and it's to be able to add a wine bistro and a coffee shop.
Questions of Jeff on item 25? Others that wish to address the council? Go ahead.
Jeff, I haven't seen anything. Is this a single-story building?
Yes, it is.
What pitch is the roof? Are you aware of that?
We haven't seen the final development plans yet. That would become forthcoming. So with the final development plans in a planned development district is where we see the drawings and aesthetics of the property.
So I've been driving by and thinking about this in the last couple of weeks and I see the plot of land where it was, and I believe it's where the diner was at one time, or at least part of it is on there.
Part of it is where that diner was, correct.
I was concerned about blocking the view of a rather elegant hotel back,
In the back.
there, as well as Johnny Carino's.
We'll watch that as it comes to the final development plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions? Others that wish to address the council on item number 25?
Move to approve.
Brown moves. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconds. Got a motion made and seconded. Further comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 25, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 25 is approved 8-0. Item 26.
Item 26 is the second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a major amendment, petition number 2008-0512, to Chapter 15.45.070 Plan Development Districts at 57th Street West Plan Development District, amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is just north of the interstate in the west side of Louise Avenue. It's it's Dave is showing on the aerials, it's off of the off-ramps there. It's where the Hilton Garden Inn is going to go, and it didn't allow for a hotel motel. So they're doing a major amendment to allow a hotel motel to go there, as well as a banquet facility and an on-sale alcohol establishment, because with the hotel, they want to be able to have drinks at the establishment. The other thing that they've been able to address is, as Bob kind of alluded to, this one, they're showing their elevations, and they've started to show us how they're going to construct it. So they have asked us to put in as a major amendment to exclude this parcel from the I-229 Design Review Overlay District, because the majority of their aesthetics have already been addressed with their plans.
Questions of Jeff on item number 26? Others that wish to address the council on item number 26? Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Benninger.
Benninger moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second it. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 26 has been approved 8-0. Item 27.
Item 27 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East 57th Street and South Sycamore Avenue and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This rezoning request is to add some additional land on the east side of the Brooks crossings. With this additional land, they're able to add some residential land, as well as, more importantly, add the north-south roadway extension to get to 57th Street.
Questions of Jeff on item number 27? Others that wish to address the council on item number 27? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Litz.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 27 has been approved 8-0. Item 28.
Item 28 is the second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 1220 to 1321 East 63rd Street North and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
The property owner here is Kelly Inns Limited and Brenda Schmidt, president. It's 2.6 acres. They're rezoning it from ag to C4 and C2 to allow the construction of the allowed uses. Their intent is to build a Kelly Inn at this property.
Questions of Jeff on item number 28? Others that wish to address Kenny?
At what stage are we at with the drainage issues up there?
At what stage are we at with the drainage issues up there? With the rezoning request, we don't address the drainage issues. There has been drainage issues that have been raised by the adjacent rural residential neighborhood to the east. At Planning Commission, I know the Planning Commission asked the rural residential neighborhood if they wanted to be annexed into the City of Sioux Falls for us to address their drainage issue, and they said no. So we will, as these plans come in for the Kelly Inn, we will have to deal with the drainage on site with the Kelly Inn. So in the meantime, until they bring in site plans, we can't take care of the residential because they're not in the City of Sioux Falls.
Further questions? Others who wish to address council item 28? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second it. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
All members
Yes.
present have voted. Item 28 has been approved 8-0. Item 29.
Item 29 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 1310 and 1401 East 63rd Street North and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is 1.68 acres approximately, owned by Robert Miller, just to the east of the previous site, and they're rezoning it from ag to C2 to build a Kelly Inn.
Questions of Jeff on item 29? Others that wish to address the council on item 29? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moves. Second?
Second, Benninger.
Benninger seconded. Further comments on that motion? I see none. All in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item number 29 has been approved 8-0. Item 30.
Item 30 is an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at South Southeastern Avenue and East 69th Street and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is 80 acres of ground on the south central part of town, and they're rezoning it basically to residential ground. They're not showing commercial or office at this time. There is some recreation conservation for a drainage pond on that kind of the southern portion of it, and it fits the 2015 growth management plan.
Questions of Jeff on item number 30? Others that wish to address the council on item number 30? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Let's
moved. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 30, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 30 has been approved, 8-0. Item 31.
Item 31 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East 67th Street North and North Subert Avenue and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Up in Granite Valley, it was all basically zoned residential except for the south and a little bit to the east, which was industrial ground. This parcel is just shy of 5 acres, and the City of Sioux Falls Parks Office has purchased this property for a city park. And so we're zoning it to RC, Recreation Conservation.
Questions of Jeff on item 31? Go ahead, Bob.
I see, and it says sub-area B of the Granite Valley PD does not allow public recreational facilities. Why is that part of the ordinance originally, or
That was part of it originally, correct, because it was all just residential, and so they did not have a park up in that location, and now it will be locating a park.
Very good. I see we have a street on two sides. Are we paying for half a street on the two sides of it?
On the sides that we have street frontage, we would pay for our portion of it.
Very good. Can I ask how much we paid for this property?
Yes, you can. Would you like to know?
Yes, I would.
Okay. We paid approximately $37,000 an acre.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff.
You bet.
Further questions of Jeff on item number 31? Others that wish to address the council on item 31? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Brown.
Brown moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconds. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson? Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 32.
Item 32 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 18th Street and Marion Road and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is just north of 18th Street, and on the east side of Marion Road, there's two kind of parcels. The westmost parcel, is C4 commercial, and then the east, as it gets back in the residential neighborhood, is RA1 multifamily commercial. Multifamily apartments,
Questions of Jeff on item number 32? Others that wish to address the council on item number 32? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Benega.
Benega moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second it. Further comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 32, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson? Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 32 has been approved. Item 33.
Item 33 is an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East 57th Street and South Sycamore Avenue and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is also down on the south end of town, and they are rezoning it to this planned development district to allow for a mix of residential development. It's 70 acres, and the mix of residential development is going to be basically a conglomerate of apartments to twin homes to townhomes to eightplexes and single family. They're trying to make a whole neighborhood surrounded by this private park or surrounding this private park that the homeowners association will maintain.
Questions of Jeff on item 33? Go ahead.
Say, Jeff, I see in here that they are going to be doing multifamily dwellings located above first floor commercial, and I know that's a trend that we'd like to develop over here at Pettigrew Heights here. If I do the math simple, that's about 7 dwellings per acre. Is this considered a high, an intense, populated project that they're going to do here?
7 units per acre is not, when they get to maybe 14, 15, that kind of gets to the higher densities. This entire development's a little bit denser than we've seen, but based on them putting in the park and their single family to the south, the entire density kind of gets averaged out. Your question is really more in relation to what they're doing on the north end, and what we've seen more the trend to be is they would just come in and show the whole north end as just straight commercial, and instead what they did is put apartments above.
That's what I was wondering about. So
Yeah.
we're saying well-designed vertical and horizontal mixed use. Is that how we describe commercial?
They've really shown a lot of mixture on this property.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
You bet.
Further questions of Jeff on item 33? Others that wish to address the council on item number 33? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Benninger.
Benninger moves, and is there a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson second. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 33, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knutson? Litz?
Yes.
Steigers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present and voted. Item 33 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused.
Mr. Mayor, may we have a 5-minute recess?
Okay, it'll be a 5-minute recess here.
Oh, I thought we were on a roll.
Let's go.
Okay, we'll back in session here. Item 34.
Item 34 is a first reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending ordinance number 5408 by increasing the value of the equipment in a total cost capital lease.
Good evening, Mayor Munson and City Council. Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. This is an item we're amending an ordinance that we've brought before you previously. When we prepare the OSEP plan, which is the year prior, we estimate what we expect some of these large capital purchases would be, and our estimate was $700,000, and that's what we put in the first ordinance that we brought before you just 2 months ago. We've recently bid this piece of equipment, did have 2 competitive bids, and feel like the difference in what the amount in the ordinance was and what the total cost is needs to be amended. And so there's 2 areas that we amended. The area that says, whereas the value of the dozer is approximately $740,000, we used to have that in there as $700,000. And then we've also added that there's approximately $48,000 worth of interest. And so the order of magnitude is $88,000. And then we've also put in there on the next line what the annual lease payment will be. And so, again, it's a critical piece to the landfill dozer operations. Gene Rowenhorst and Scott Russ, the purchasing manager, they look at a number of things, a couple of key points that I think are attributed to the additional cost. This is an 80,000-pound machine, and 95% of it is steel. And a couple of indicators just in recent months, scrap steel in April to June, just a short period of months, has gone from $315 a ton up to $570. That was on one metal source that we have. And so I think, as we still believe this is a very good and competitive bid, and ask for your support.
Questions of Mark on item 34, Bob?
Let's say, Mark, did you say you only had 1 competitive bid?
No, we had 2 bids. We considered a competitive bidding process.
Okay, all right.
Butler Machinery and RDO Machinery in town both bid.
They're the only ones who submitted a formal proposal to you on this?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Mark, I'm just curious, how many different manufacturers are there of dozers that would be even fit into this category?
Let me defer to Scott Russ, the purchasing manager.
Scott Rust, City Finance Office. There are 4 manufacturers of these size of dozers, and we only received bids from the 2.
Any indications why we didn't receive bids for the other 2?
The 2 dealers, there's actually one other dealer that has two of those dozers, and they didn't submit a bid because there's a guaranteed repurchase guarantee on that dozer, and I can't really answer that why they didn't submit a bid.
But they certainly were notified. And
Oh,
had
absolutely.
their opportunity.
Yeah, when we wrote the spec, we included every piece of equipment that was available for this for this landfill use. So,
The other question, I'm trying to remember back when we did this, what was it, $100,000 for 5 years? Or what was it? What were
$100,000 for 5 years is what we wrote it as, and it came in at, I believe, $158,000, I think.
Is that just for the first year, or is it $158,000 a year?
A year for 5 years.
So that's substantially, I mean,
Total
a 60%
cost of the dozers.
increase.
Total cost of the dozers is $790,000.
Do we reevaluate the whole purchase lease thing, or are we, does that change any of those dynamics?
Just if we can respond, the way the previous one wrote, it said we budgeted $100,000. This one is an actual lease payment that's written right in the proposal that says your lease payment, 5 lease payments will be what's listed, which is the $158,000. And so we stated in the previous ordinance what the budgeted amount was. We listed in this one, now that it's past the bidding cycle, of what the lease payment will be, and we have to look within our 2400 class to fund that. Okay.
I'm just curious, it's really, we missed the budget amount by quite a bit, and I understand the reasonings for that, but I'm just curious, does that change any of our consideration for whether or not we want to purchase or maybe rehabilitate the old dozer or something? It's a big change.
I can address that question. To rehabilitate that other dozer is a fairly substantial expense. When you generally have a repair on a $700,000 piece of equipment, those repairs aren't $10,000 or $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to overhaul those types of pieces of equipment, and that's just a minor overhaul.
Further questions?
$158,000 a year for 5 years is a substantial expense as well. So
Right. These dozers are, for example, an engine overhaul could cost you well over $20,000 to $30,000. This machine that we have out there is, when you look at it, as that 10,000 hours. So.
Mr. Mayor, I was wondering about the same thing, Mr. Costello, and I'm not satisfied with your answer. That have you reevaluated an outright purchase versus the lease purchase that we're about to enter into?
Oh, absolutely. You bet we have. And this is by far the best solution for the city based on what the resale value of this piece of equipment will be. And these resale values for these pieces of equipment continue to rise with the cost of steel.
The resale value at the end, are we going to be one of the persons considering buying it? Was that?
We do have that option, and we have a guaranteed repurchase guarantee on this piece of equipment. And the repurchase guarantee that came in was $265,000. The research that I've done through machinerytrader.com is that these machines are bringing in well over $300,000. So I think it's very advantageous for us to continue to move forward with this purchase.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Further questions? Item number 34. Let's go to 35.
Item 35 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by revising Chapter 19, Health and Sanitation, Article 8, Family Daycare Homes by establishing provider-children ratios, creating an inspection and suspension revocation of registration process, along with prohibiting dangerous items to be in contact with children in family daycare homes.
Thank you. Judy Buseman, Health Director. The intent of the changes in this ordinance and the additions to this is really to improve the safety standards for family daycares in our home. This change should not be interpreted to say that we have a problem in our family daycare homes, because we have about 400 providers who do provide quality daycare. We're just really looking at raising that base and raising the standards. Since its inception in 2004, this ordinance has used a professional model, so that we've set requirements for daycare providers to be licensed each year. We've set some continuing education, which is really the strength of this ordinance and the strength of the model. We are adding to that now some other requirements. For input on this ordinance was broad. We've worked as the Health Department, we've worked with the Public Services Committee is actually bringing this, and the Council is bringing this ordinance changes forward, but we've worked with local and state child care experts. We've had We've looked at national child care and referral agency information. We've looked at state comparisons on standards. We've had focus groups with parents. We've had focus groups with daycare providers themselves. Actually, a couple of the changes in the definitions came from the daycare providers. Those examples would be that as we've looked at further definitions on who could be a substitute provider or who can be a registered daycare helper. So those are things that came actually from daycare. Some of the even language as we've looked at making changes came from those groups. If we look at the substantive changes, what are the major changes and additions? The major change is really in supervision. And when we look back at the national standards identify to us that it's the supervision and education that really brings quality to daycare. And not lots of education, lots of regulation with other requirements. But those two things seem to be, as the national child care and referral agencies, as they study this issue, that's their recommendation for regulatory agencies to look at what they provide for education. The change we're making to supervision is that we are going to be similar to what the state does. The state already has a supervision requirement. Currently, under our provision and under the state, we look as family daycares. You can have a family daycare, and as a provider, you can supervise up to 12 children. For the state, they start to limit, and they say if you have more than 4 children that are age 2, you have to have a registered helper. We have adjusted ours. Ours is going to read more than if you have more than 4 children that are age 18 months. So we're going to be a little bit more lenient than the state is that. And again, it's that provision in supervision that makes some significant difference. This is still a baseline level, but up until this ordinance change would come forward, right now you could have a daycare provider providing care for 12 infants. It would be could not be state registered, but they could be city registered. Within that supervision clause, then also it would be as you go up by a level of 4. So if you have over 8 infants, you would need an additional helper. So there would now be 3 persons in the room. So if you have over 4 infants, and I guess infants and small toddlers would be age 18 months, you would need 2 providers. If you go over 8, then you need 3 providers in that daycare home. We discussed that with at our focus group with providers. There were many people who supported the state provision. They said, what the state's doing is correct. There was some discussion and why we did make some change in that. In our thoughts on that would be that one of the comments that came forward would be that for our family daycares, the change in Sioux Falls is that many people move to preschool with their 4 and 5-year-olds that are preschool. So in the mix in a daycare, there was concern for raising costs in infant daycare, but there was also identifying that as we talked with child care providers, but also with child development folks, that as a child becomes able to move around and walk, they're able to be a little more mobile on their own, they're not unsteady, that one person could take and that age could be around 18 months is what we identified. The other substantive change is we've added wording for a suspension. Currently, if we're dealing with a daycare complaint that's a major complaint, we can only move to revocation, and we're adding words that we could use a suspension, in temporary suspension while we're doing an investigation. The other changes that are in definition and clarification that we've provided, that definition of that a provider needs to be 18 years of age. We've defined a registered helper, as I identified that came from providers, and but a registered helper needs to be qualified. They need to have all of the requirements that they've met to be a provider, but they can be between the ages of 14 and 18. We're asking that providers inform the health department of changes in circumstances, and some of those are listed in ordinance, but to list a few would be like change of address, change of household composition, provider name, number of people in the household, and then we've also defined that notification in there would be of unusual circumstances such as investigation, child major injury, resulting in either death or hospitalization. They are required also to keep a master contact list for all of the children enrolled in their program, and we've added some safety requirements for some clarification in CPR requirements, use of fuel-burning heaters in the home, and flammable agent storage, sharps, and really looking for safety in how those are managed in the home. And these items and changes make change in professional standards, and really I recommend your approval of this ordinance.
Question, Judy, on item 35. Kermit?
Yeah, Judy, what you've reiterated tonight sounds extremely bureaucratic. And we have some people who are concerned that as we become more and more involved in regulation here, this is going to actually hurt the daycares system in Sioux Falls. Can you respond to that?
I think we've discussed this often enough to know that you know my heart is with daycares, and I have considered many items in this and know that I don't approach this as a bureaucrat. Is it added regulation? Yes, but I think it raises the standard of daycares in our community, so that's why, we brought it forth in our discussions with the Public Services Committee.
But is it going to make it more difficult sometimes for people to get daycare, especially for the infants? Because, I understand that's one of the most critical needs that we have in Sioux Falls is with the infants. People are really having a difficult time with that.
We had representation within our focus group of people who cared for infants and mainly infants, and that was there was support. Remember that for the state regulation, 2/3 of our daycares in Sioux Falls are already state licensed, so they would have no problem meeting this, or family daycares so they're state registered, so they'd have no problem meeting this. So that other 1/3, we had representation of that group, and people were very supportive of this piece. And again, that was part of why we looked at a compromise then to that second age group, because people felt that was a reasonable piece and agreed that it was a safety issue and that they could see that this standard was necessary.
I would just like to thank Judy, or Director Boozman, and her staff again for all of the help, and also the staff at the Helpline 211 Center for working through this proposal with the Public Services Committee for several months, and we're very appreciative of your time and expertise in this area. And I do continue to believe that our very small children are the very most vulnerable people in our community. They are too small, they're too young to make these kinds of important decisions themselves, and they are very vulnerable. And I, as a proud grandmother of an almost 3-year-old, I just don't think we can do enough to increase the safety in our child care centers.
Brian?
I too want to just thank Judy, because I can't think of a committee where the director has gone to the lengths you have in surveying parents in focus groups, surveying daycare providers in focus groups. So thank you for your work on this, Judy.
Thank you.
Further questions? 35. Okay, is there a motion to set the hearing date for items 34 and 35 for Monday, July 14th?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves second.
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Further comments on the motion to set the hearing date for July 14th? Not all in favor of setting the hearing date for items 34 and 35 for July 14th? Yes. Opposed? No.
Councilmembers Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
The hearing date has been set for July 14th for items 34 and 35. Item 36.
Item 36 is a resolution designating the official newspaper for the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Deborah Owen, just to address this issue, by state law, we must publish legal requirements to satisfy things such as bids or notice to the public concerning public meetings. We must do that in the official city newspaper. So another law in South Dakota codified law says we need to designate who that is, and that is what the action is being proposed before the council tonight.
Further comments? Others wish to address the council. Go ahead.
Has the paper been designated yet? I mean, I'm unaware of what it is.
It's just an annual thing that we do to designate the Argus Leader as our official city newspaper. There are some requirements upon, and I don't have those with me, as to their kind of circulation, but obviously they're the most major newspaper in the city, and so Therefore, the notice to the public, which would be, which we do through a number of legal publications, whether it's the minutes or contract bids or notice for RFPs and all of that is done through the Argus Leader.
I thought the shopping news maybe had a wider distribution and was more available to the public.
Indeed.
A serious question, I hadn't thought about this before, is did we consider the Sioux Falls Business Journal, since it is now printed on a weekly basis? I realize it belongs to the Gannett Foundation, or Gannett people, but I was wondering if that was a consideration.
No, that is not part of this proposal today.
Further comments?
Deb, do you have any idea how much we spent in the Argus Leader last year, or every year in the last few years?
Yeah, it's around $90,000. It's close to $100,000 a year on all of our publishing for legals. Most of that is coordinated through our department, but the hiring, those types of ads are through HR, so you need to add those two budgets together to get the total.
Deborah, just for the sake of the public, some people might say, I don't subscribe to the Argus Leader. Why don't you do it online?
Well, we need the state legislature to change those laws so that we have the option. I know the Municipal League, along with the school district's lobbyist, has worked for many years to try to change this vehicle. And I believe more recently the league has actually offered to pay for a statewide website, if you will, that all cities and school districts could use as a site to inform the public to submit a bid for a project, or perhaps to see the legals from either a school board minutes or city council minutes from across the state. And I think the league offered to pay for the site, which of course would really save a lot of government entities a fabulous amount of money.
Further comments on item 36? Is there a motion?
Move to approve, Brown.
Brown. Second?
I'll second. Jamison.
Jamison seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Not all in favor of the motion to approve. Item 36, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
I suppose.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
No.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 no. Item 36 has been approved. Item 37.
Item 37 is a resolution amending the 2008-2012 capital program.
Gene Roanhorse, Director of Finance. This is amending the CIP for 2008, and it ties back to item number 22, which you approved earlier tonight.
Questions of Gene on item number 37. Others that wish to address council on item 37? Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second it. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 37, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 36 has been approved 8-0. Item 38.
Item 38 is a resolution amending the future land use map as a part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan at 660 feet north of East 69th Street and South Southeastern Avenue to add an allocation of multifamily and single-family future land uses. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
And Mayor, Councilor Jamison has excused himself for your information.
It will be noted that Councilmember Jamison is excused.
Can you, I'm sorry, Tamara, I got up here late. Can you refer to me which one you just read into the record for number 38?
We're on
Oh, I'm
38.
sorry, I read 39. I'll read 38. I apologize. A resolution amending the future land use map as a part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan at East 57th Street and Highway 11 to add an allocation of commercial future land use. The Planning Commission recommends approval. Thank you, Jeff.
Jeffrey Schmidt, representing planning staff on these last few items this evening. This one is on 57th Street and Highway 11. It's 20 acres, and since it's outside of our existing 2015 growth management plan, but it does have sewer capacity, I believe, we are looking to amend the 2015 growth management plan, and since it's at the junction of two highways, it's appropriate to have commercial.
Questions of Jeff on item number 38? Others that wish to address the council on item number 38? Is there a motion to approve?
So move. Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Bennigan seconded. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 38 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison? Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 38 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 39.
Okay, item 39 is a resolution amending the future land use map as a part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan at 660 feet north of East 69th Street and South Southeastern Avenue to add an allocation of multifamily and single-family future land uses. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This 84-acre site was also outside of our existing 2015 growth management plan. It does have sewer capacity, and they're showing residential growth down in that area, and it's appropriate based on our text and our comprehensive elements.
Questions of Jeff on item 39? Kermit?
Yeah, Jeff, and some of the information we have down planning staff recommendations.
Certainly.
Yeah, that the proposed development should be consistent with the physical characteristics of the surrounding neighborhoods. Staff recommends approval. What are some of those physical characteristics that the Planning Commission or planning staff is concerned about?
Certainly. As it continues to develop to the south, we're looking at what the development is to the north and to the west, and there's 2 existing residential neighborhoods that are developing there. You don't necessarily get to see it in these exhibits, but the one that Dave's highlighting there, I believe that's Whisper Ridge or Whisper Run. They're all whispers down there. They're very quiet. But they're residential developments, and so when this one comes in and they're showing residential, that's a compatible land use and it's adjacent to versus coming in and putting industrial.
Oh, okay. So
Further questions of Jeff on 39? Others that wish to address the council on item number 39? Is there a motion to approve item 39?
So move. Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Jamison.
Jamison seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 39 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmembers Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 39 has been approved 8-0. Item 40.
Item 40 is a resolution amending the future land use map as a part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan at East 57th Street and Highway 11 to add an allocation of commercial future land use. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
It be noted that Councilmember Jamison will be excused from item number 40. Go ahead.
Thank you. This future land use amendment is also at the junction of 57th Street and Highway 11. It's 39 acres. There is sewer capacity down in this area. Since it's at the junction of these 2 highways, it's appropriate to have commercial, as you can see in this land use map. There's already commercial to the north that's trying to be developed. It's going to be a large, as we're showing it, maybe a sub-regional commercial center. It's appropriate for a future land use amendment.
Question to Jeff on item number 40. Others wish to address the council? Is there a motion to approve item 40?
And I second Councilor Litz's motion.
Let's second it. Knutson. Let's make the motion. Knutson seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 40, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison? Sorry. Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 40 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 41.
Item 41 is a resolution amending the future land use map as part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan at East 57th Street and Highway 11 to add an allocation of mixed-use future land use. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
It will be noted that Councilmember Jamison will be excused from item 41. Go ahead, Jeff.
This is about a half mile south of 57th Street, between 57th and 69th Street. It's getting a little bit off of that intersection of 57th Street and Highway 11. It's a little bit irregular size parcel. They are showing it as a mixed-use development. It's similar to what Councilmember Litz talked about earlier, where they're showing a little bit higher density. It's not office, it's not apartments. It's going to be a mixed use. From a land use standpoint, it's appropriate to start transitioning down to residential development at this intersection.
Questions of Jeff, 941. Bob Litz.
Is this that piece of property where the waterway between the church property and this property has a little bridge over it, or some sort of an approach over it with a culvert?
I believe it is. I haven't necessarily gone down and seen it further to the east other than by the highway, but as this concept plan is showing, this is the church site down there, and it's just behind and to the north and east of Franklin Motors, so I believe you're correct.
Okay, I assume that issue was resolved then. I know they were working on it 6 months ago. Or
Could still be working on it today.
all right,
Yeah,
very
I think
good.
they're working
Thanks,
on
Jeff.
it.
Further questions of Jeff on item 41? Others who wish to address the council on item 41? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second it. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 41, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison? Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 41 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 42.
Item 42 is a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of Heavenly Meadows 2 addition. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is 80 acres of residential development. They've provided us the preliminary utility plan and the phasing. We do look at this point at their lot and block layout, their street layout. It's very appropriate to be moving forward from a preliminary standpoint.
Questions of Jeff on item 42? Others that wish to address the council on item 42? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Litz.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 42 has been approved 8-0. Item 44.
Item 44 is a resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of a member to the Multicultural Coliseum Intergovernmental Board.
That one is to replace Councilmember Kavanaugh, who was term limited off, and we've asked Councilmember Anderson to participate. So that's what that one is. Anybody have any other questions, or anybody want to make a comment on item 44? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Jameson?
Yeah,
Is there
I'll
a sec-
second that motion.
Knutson seconded. Further comments on the motion?
Is there, does he have to go through a background check?
Fingerprints at least.
Further comments? There being none, all in favor of the motion to approve? Yes. Opposed, no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Oh, yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. 8-0. Congratulations. That has been approved. Item 45.
Item 45 is a resolution including certain contiguous territory within the corporate limits of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
This is South Central Sioux Falls. It's 85th and Western, and the city is requesting annexation of this long, narrow strip of property, and it's legal description correction.
Questions of Jeff on item number 45? Not others wish to address the council on item 45? So motion to approve.
So moved, Litz.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 45 has been approved 8-0. Item 46.
Item 46 is a resolution including certain contiguous territory within the corporate limits of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
This is also in that same neighborhood. It's at the southwest corner of 85th and Western Avenue. The street improvements are being done on those arterial streets right now. The residential development is taking place. There's an existing home on this site, This homeowner is working with that home developer in that neighborhood to make sure that he gets his utilities placed now as part of this development so that he doesn't have to carry the whole cost. And so he's asking for us to annex him so that he can get city utilities.
Questions of Jeff on item number 46? Others that wish to address the council on item number 46? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
So move, Litz.
Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item 46? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion to approve will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 46 has been approved 8-0. At this time, I will turn the chair over to Councilwoman Knutson for your election of officers.
Thank you, Mayor. We will have our annual election of for our next chair for the next year for our chairperson and our vice chair. And I was teasing over there. I could have sat over there and done this, but I wanted to try out this chair just to start a few more rumors in our great city. But anyway, well, you can tell I've been here too long this evening. So with that, I would again like to thank all of you for allowing me to be your chairperson for a year, and I would like to entertain motions for chair of our city council for the next year, please. Any nominations, please?
I nominate Councilor Litz as chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Litz. Would there be any other nominations from our group for chairman, chairperson, whatever? Okay, seeing no other nominations come forward, I would like to ask for everyone who's in favor of Councilor Bob Litz being our chair for this
Madam
next
Chair,
year.
I'll second the nomination.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for helping me. Okay, we had a motion been made and seconded. All in favor of that motion to have Councilor Bob Litz chair us for the next year, please vote yes. All in favor? Okay, yeah, I'm sure we'll take a voice vote.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz? Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you. And I think I can vote. I'm not sure if I can find Sherry. Maybe I can't. Okay, now we will take I would like to entertain a motion for a vice chair for this next year, please. Councilor Benega.
I would like to nominate Pat Costello as vice chair.
Okay. Would there be a second to that motion?
I second that.
Okay, and Councilor Litz has seconded that motion. Would there be any other nominations for vice chair? I guess since we have second motion, we'll just go ahead and vote on Councilor Costello serving as our vice chair for this next year, and we'll have Tamara take a voice vote, please.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Abstain.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
I'd like to point out, Costello, you did vote for yourself in the election, so it would have been appropriate for you to do it here.
You can't prove that.
And I would like to wish you both the very best going forward, and thank you both for being willing to serve in these important capacities. And with
Madam
that,
Chair?
Yes?
I'd just like to thank you for your leadership. I think your skin got even tougher over the last year when you tried to please everybody, right?
Thank you. I'm not sure it's quite tough enough, but I think in 23 more years I'm going to look just like an alligator. Would there be a motion to adjourn for this evening?
So moved, Benega.
And may I have a second for that motion?
Second, Brown.
And okay, and seconded by Brown for adjournment. And all in favor of adjournment, please.
Councilmember Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
And we are adjourned. And thank you and good night.